Welcome to the Pozcast, where we introduce you to incredible humans who share their journeys with the mission to inspire you to harness your own inner tenacity to drive your life and career forward. And now, your host,
Rhona Pierce, live from Unleash US in Las Vegas. Welcome, everyone, to the Pozcast. I am your guest host, Rhona Pierce. We are live here from Unleash 2025 in the boardroom at Fountain. Thank you so much to our friends at Fountain for sponsoring this episode. And I am here with Blair Bennett, who is the Senior Vice President of Talent Acquisition at Pepsi. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Wonderful to be with you. Thank you
How
for
are
having
you?
me. Good. I'm energized. We're here at Unleash 2025, seeing all of the innovation that's happening in our space. So it gives me a lot of energy to know that, within talent acquisition, we're going to be so much more innovative, and also in the entire HR space. So It's great.
Yeah. So tell listeners a little more about who you are and what you do best.
Sure. So I lead the global talent acquisition function for PepsiCo, and most people recognize our beverage brands, but we are a food and beverage company. We're a $90 billion company with 320,000 associates. So we do a lot of hiring. And I have been with the company 5.5 years. And prior to being at PepsiCo, I have a background with Walmart and also Korn Ferry Executive Search. And my portfolio at PepsiCo is all of our talent acquisition function. That includes our employer brand. That includes our global talent acquisition strategy. That includes our hiring. We, of course, partner with our people operations team. And so, just making sure that we have the right strategies and ensure hiring success.
What keeps you, what first started getting you interested in working on TA strategy, and what keeps you interested in it?
Yes, that is such a great question. Like many, I kind of fell into the recruiting space. My first career was actually in political consulting. And I transitioned from doing political fundraising to executive search, which sounds a bit odd, but the connection was that through my political fundraising, I had a really vast network of professionals in the government affairs space in Washington, D.C. And so I transitioned, I guess it was skills. I transitioned my skills from fundraising to search. And I always kind of make a joke that you get your calls answered faster when you're offering a job than when you're asking for money.
I'm sure. And I would have never made that connection, but what you say is true. It's it's all about relationships and doing that. So I do see the connection.
Yeah. And what's kept me in it, because it's been now about 20 years, is just it's always changing. And as somebody who I really am a lifelong learner, I love to, constantly be sort of looking out on the horizon. And in this space, you're learning something new every day. You're talking to new people. And as I mentioned, the innovation that's happening in our space is really exciting. And I think how we're able to look out 3 years, 5 years, and start to think about, what's this next era of talent acquisition and what's the next generation of talent. So there's always great problems to solve.
So Pepsi has a very huge recognizable consumer brand.
Yes.
How does that help you or influence your approach to your employer brand?
Yeah, it's actually really important that, we are able to leverage our iconic brands as part of our employer brand. But we also build around this idea of innovation because as a food and beverage company, we are constantly innovating on flavor, innovating on product, thinking about innovating on how we, make our product. And so innovation is another pillar of our employer brand. Growth is another pillar of our employer brand because we are known as a company that, you can come and have your first career, you can stay for your entire career and grow and advance and reinvent yourself. And I think also, purpose. So I think between our brands, the purpose, we have a lot of, our products are consumed 1 billion times a day. So like we want people to bring, we want to bring them smiles, and we want them to be enjoying, the occasions where they're enjoying our products. And so, we also, as a big company, have a lot of responsibility in sustainability and in our communities. We have over 1,000 locations globally. And so we're very local in the community. So between brands, innovation, growth, and purpose, those are really like the strong pillars of our employer brand.
Cool. You oversee everything from campus to frontline to executive recruitment. How do you keep the experience consistent across all of those different talent groups?
Yeah, it's something we've actually been working really hard on, because when you think about, some of the AI and the technology and the things that you can put into your process, that's really, really, really hard to do if you don't have standard processes that your teams have adopted and are using. And so over the last few years, we've been putting a lot of focus on standardizing processes, how we, collect the data from our process and use that to continue to evolve and build new strategies. And then also, I think like what we try to do within our talent acquisition space is to provide trainings, and we're going through a series of like global capability building where we are looking at, how do we continue to help our team members understand the process? How do we help our team members understand the best practices that we want them to use, whether it's in screening or sourcing? So trying to make sure that not only are we putting the right processes in place and that we're standardizing those processes, but we're also enabling our teams to be able to use those effectively. And we work with, we've just done a lot of work on our operating model in talent acquisition and trying to make sure that we have dedicated teams for early talent recruiting, dedicated teams for executive recruiting, dedicated teams for professional recruiting, because each of those cohorts has a different talent driver. And so what you want to be able to do is really specialize in those areas so that you're providing an experience that is fit for purpose, whether it be your frontline, your professional, your executive, or your early career.
That's so smart. And definitely, I'm sure you guys have seen how it's, let me ask, what's been the feedback from candidates at all of these levels?
Yeah, actually, we take candidate feedback very seriously, and we instituted actually a new candidate satisfaction survey last year. And what we found is when you just ask for candidate feedback at the end of the process, you're actually missing some elements of being able to collect data along the way. So our new candidate satisfaction survey actually will survey the candidate at different points in the process. And that helps us to get more prescriptive around where might we have a pain point, or where are we getting better feedback versus, where candidates may not be receiving our process that well. So that's been really, really, really effective in helping us be more agile or correct things along the way.
Amazing. So let's switch gears a little and talk about internal mobility, one of my favorite topics. And I know that you guys do it well. So how are you elevating the experience for current employees to be comfortable and know about your internal mobility?
Yeah, so I think, thank you for recognizing that we are a company that takes this very seriously. One of the things that we did bring into our tech stack a few years ago was a talent marketplace tool. So this is actually something where it gives talent exposure to like short-term critical assignments. It also gives them exposure and serves up ideas of roles that they may be interested in based on skills or interests. So that gives some great development opportunities. And then I think too, in our internal process, our hiring managers are highly engaged and involved in that. So the hope is that as we create interest in positions, that the hiring manager doesn't just see people they know, but that they actually have access to everybody who's interested in that role, and they can take a look at those resumes, backgrounds, experiences, have conversations, etc. And so we do have we post, all open positions, and our internal candidates get access to those positions first. So we have a nice process that gives that exposure and visibility, and also some technology that helps serve things up that they may not otherwise see.
Hey everybody, Adam here from the Pozcast. Today's Pozcast is brought to you by the team at Fountain. Fountain is your full-service, frontline workforce management platform. I have to tell you, Fountain's offerings are some of the most robust I've seen for any product in the space. They offer full solutions for hiring, managing, and retention. They are truly a one-stop shop focused on the frontline workforce. They also create informative content using their data. For example, they analyze a bunch of data from their fast food chains and created a trend report you could download now on their website. They also have a new ebook out called Frontline Voices. There's a lot to dive into. Certainly check it out. And you could learn more at fountain.com, linked in the show notes. Thank you.
So now that you touch on technology, how do you guys leverage it to enhance and support your talent acquisition strategy?
Yes. Well, of course, we're very excited about how technology can help enable our processes. I always say, it can be tempting to kind of go for the shiny object, but where we actually like to start is what problem might we be trying to solve. And I mentioned this, our new operating model. One of the things that we've done is create a strategy COE that has strategy, program design, as well as integrated roadmap, portfolio management, and also talent intelligence. And I'm saying this because that team is actually really understanding, what are we trying to solve? What pain points might we have? What programs might we have to develop? Use external benchmarking as well as internal data. And then they start to think through what is that program design of the future. Then our tech team and our process team actually start to look at the technology that may go in to enable that process or that program. So it actually starts to create an ability to come to a place like this, or to look at innovation in a different way, because you're looking at what can it help you do, not just, oh, that's so cool, right? So we have been using automated scheduling for several years. That really took a lot of transactional work off of our recruiter. We have been, of course, with regard to some of the transactional work, automating and finding opportunities to make that simpler. We do have access to certain tools where we can do one-way, interviewing, which is helpful for candidates who want to tape an interview at the time that works for them. We also are piloting some interview intelligence technology, and this is sort of the newest thing that we're piloting, and working with several teams around the globe to see how we can bring this into our process to really elevate candidate experience, to elevate recruiter experience, and also to really create a hiring manager experience that shows the value that talent acquisition can bring to them. So that's a really cool one. We're at the beginning stages, but I think it's going to unlock a lot of really powerful value.
I love that. And I love how you're thinking about all pieces of it. And I want to talk a little about leadership and being strategic. So for any TA leaders trying to be more strategic and position themselves strategically within their organization, what's one mindset or action that you think that they should adopt?
Yeah, I think, we can get very caught up in trying to solve the operational issues of the day. So I think one thing is carve out time to really think about what is going on around you in, externally. Also, what are you hearing from your business as far as the challenges that they're going to have? So being tuned in, I would say, to the external forces and the internal forces that give you the chance to think more strategically about the problems that we may be trying to solve. Not for today, but where might we be 3 years from now or 5 years from now? When you start to look at, some really interesting things to look at would be, go on YouTube, listen to futurists. What are they saying? Listen to economists. What are they saying? There's disruptions happening. I was actually in Phoenix last weekend, and they have the Google Waymo driverless taxis. I mean, that is super cool stuff,
Yeah.
right? I'm in a car that nobody's driving. So those are, disruptions that aren't specific to HR. But when you start to see things that are happening around you, how can you apply that, or what might that mean in the talent acquisition space? So I think thinking about different things that help you think through, how you can be more strategic and what you can do now to prepare for later.
I love that. So I have a few rapid fire type questions, just
Okay.
whatever comes to mind
I'm ready.
first. What's one leadership habit that has been key to your success?
Taking risks.
Tell me more.
I think, I not only have I taken risks in my career and said yes to roles that, I probably half my jobs didn't exist before I went into them. And so going in and learning and having that learning growth mindset. But also what I try to do too is encourage my teams. You got to take risks. You got to try new things. Like, we're going to be here. I have what I've sort of called a trampoline leadership style. So I want people to take those risks. And if they fall, they're going to be caught by the trampoline and they're going to bounce up even higher. And that's growth. How can you learn in that type of environment? So that's been really critical to my own career, and also what I tried to, embody in my leadership style.
That's amazing. What's one proud moment in your career that still stands out to you?
Wow, one proud moment in my career. I've had the luck of having so many. I really do think that, when in this particular role with PepsiCo, we have been going through constant transformation. And what makes me really proud about leading through this is that in a lot of instances, our talent acquisition team has been first in moving on some of the transformation, and in the way that is embodying the way that our company wants us to work. So I mentioned we partner very, very closely with our people experience and operations team. They manage many of our talent acquisition processes, and our recruiters sit in that organization, a lot of them. So how we're transforming, how we're doing that, how we're looking at operating models, makes me really proud that we can be a talent acquisition function that's leading in this space and doing it in a way that I think we're trying to bring our people along and give them the skills and help them advance, and, being really thoughtful about how we do that for our team.
What's one piece of popular career advice that you think people should ignore?
Wow, that is a really good question. What should people ignore? Most advice you should probably take. But I will say one question that I get sometimes is, around like mentoring and having mentors and sponsors. And I think that is important. But I also think that how you go about that should feel very authentic to you. So it's not that you should ignore the advice, but sometimes taking the advice in a way that's authentic to you. So as my personal experience has been, I haven't had a lot of mentors over my career. I have had and chosen mentors when I thought I needed a specific boost of something. And so kind of creating, a little bit of your there have been when I moved from Korn Ferry executive search into the corporate world, I found a coach to make that transition into corporate because I hadn't really been in there before. So, there's times where even like media or public speaking, like I've had friends and coaches like work with me on that. So I think it's like, for me, don't just like take the advice of go get a lot of mentors. It's like, really understand, what are you trying to grow? What are you trying to develop? And find specific people who can boost you in those areas when you need it.
That's great advice. So I really enjoyed this conversation. Where can listeners connect with you?
I have enjoyed this conversation as well. It's been quite a pleasure. Thank you. So to find me, you can look on LinkedIn. And of course, to learn more about PepsiCo and our careers, go to PepsiCoJobs.com.
Thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Wisdom is forever, but for us, it's time to go. Thank you for joining us. Luckily, we'll be back with our next episode soon, jam-packed with more incredible humans. Thank you for listening, subscribing, and sharing. To join the conversation, search the Pozcast on LinkedIn. And to catch up on past episodes and more info, please visit www.thepozcast.com.